I want to remind you that what the American media did with Joe Biden was evil. It was evil. It wasn't a mistake. They weren't duped. They covered for the fact that the United States of America did not have a functional president for 4 years, and that is a fact that we are still paying for to this day. There is a chance Joe Biden's disastrous presidency landed a mortal wound on this country, and the American media should have stopped it before it happened, should have exposed it while it was happening, but instead they chose to cover it up, and now, look, the word chutzpah is a wonderful word. Now they're out there wanting you to buy books about it and claiming that they were simply lied to.
The bottom line is the White House was lying, not only to the press, not only to the public, but they were lying to members of their own cabinet. They were lying to White House staffers. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress, to donors about how bad things had gotten.
The real culprits are the people who are supposed to be our sources on all these things, who were constantly reassuring us behind the scenes. No, it's better than you think.
But I
remember Jeffrey Katzenberg just, oh no, he's going to be great at the debates. He's already debated this guy a couple of times. He knows what he's doing. He's out there telling, and this is in off the record settings. And you're like, really? Okay. I mean, so to me, the cover up is the people closest to him in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, they covered it up. The dumbest, most uninformed people I know knew Joe Biden had dementia a long time ago. The American media covered it up. Don't let them get away with this. Joining me now, John Phillips, host of the wonderful John Phillips Show. Hey, John, they were just duped. These Washington, D.C. insiders, they had no idea at all. Man, I almost feel bad for them.
I love the fact that they act like this is some kind of secret when it was on television where he spoke to a dead person. We all remember that. It happened. I saw it. You saw it. They saw it. It's not like you need to sit next to him on an airplane for 10 hours to figure out that the guy has a screw loose. As soon as he had a full-on conversation with a dead person in public, the cat was out of the bag. Not to mention all the times he fell going up the stairs, fell on the stage, everything else that we saw on a daily basis. And the whole time this was going on, they'd claim, oh, that was a deep fake. That's what they said at the George Clooney fundraiser. That was a doctored video. That wasn't true. In private, you should see this guy. He's just putting Rubik's Cubes together, doing advanced calculus. The guy will blow you away in private. In public, he's a buffoon, but in private, man, this guy gives Stephen Hawking a run for his money. And we knew they were lying. They knew they were lying. But now all of a sudden, they're on TV saying, we were tricked. We were tricked. It was the people around him in the White House that just snookered all of us. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to do CYA right now because they're taking a position that's totally indefensible, saying that guy was all there mentally. And you know what? We don't have to punish them. They don't have to punish themselves. In part because of their really bad behavior, they lost the election because all the normal people understood the guy was demented. All the normal people understood that they lied to us, including Kamala. And I think that hurt her in the presidential election more than they're willing to admit. And now they have to sit at home and they have to watch Donald Trump on their television for 4 years. And I can't think of a better way to end that story.
It's so true. I'm pretty sure Stephen Hawking could have outrun the guy at this point in time. And it is funny. I think it's fascinating how much this is in the news. And it's not just because they're books. There are books that are being written. Democrat politicians are having to answer questions about this. Here was Chuck Schumer.
Did you really not have any idea that he was not fit to serve a second term?
Casey, we're looking forward. We have the largest Medicaid cut in front of us. We have the whole federal government
You're facing all of
risk.
this because you lost a presidential election. And
Look,
is that not Joe Biden's responsibility for deciding to run again?
We're looking forward.
That's it?
That's it.
We're looking forward, but they keep having to answer these questions. Why is this in the news, John? That's what I want to know. Is it because the media is trying to cover their butts? The Democrats are trying to cover their butts? Very clearly, they think this issue is still damaging to them, right?
Well, if they weren't the ones that wrote the books, there would be people who work for Joe Biden who would write tell-alls, and the story would come out that way. There's no way to put lipstick on the pig. They lied on behalf of Joe Biden. They lied on behalf of Joe Biden because they wanted him to win the election and the Republicans to lose. There's no way to make them look good. So I guess they figured, why not just go ahead and profit from it by putting our names on the tell-alls and not the Biden staffers who would end up writing these books. But what people like Chuck Schumer did in particular, and Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and the Democratic Party apparatus, was even more sinister than what you described. Because don't forget, they rigged their primary so that Joe Biden would be the nominee. They changed the calendar so that Joe Biden couldn't lose. They knocked people off ballots. They canceled the primary election in Florida. They never actually voted in the primary in Florida. They just no need to have an election here. We know it's going to be Joe Biden. So it wasn't even just that they covered up for him. They put their fingers on the scale of the process so that no one could challenge him and no one could defeat him and no one could expose him for being as out of it as he was. This is not Joe Biden screwing the Democratic Party. This was a choice that they made to stick with Joe Biden, in part because they thought Kamala was so awful and unelectable, but they all controlled him. They benefited from him being in that feeble state, and they all got what they want because this was essentially 4 years of the country being run by committee of essentially being made up of the power players within the Democratic Party.
Golly. Speaking of screwing the Democratic Party, you recently had Willie Brown on your show. What did he have to say?
He said very interesting things, including the fact that he said that in a private conversation with Kamala Harris, back when she was a U.S. Senator, and this was before Joe Biden chose her to be the vice president, when she knew she was on the list and she knew that it was a possibility that she could be tapped by Biden to be put on the ticket, he told her not to do it. He said, "You're not ready. This would not be a good move for you. You should try to become the attorney general or become a different cabinet official, stay in the United States Senate, whatever. Let the cookie bake in the oven a little bit longer." And she got really mad at him and cut him off and decided, "Who are you, Willie Brown, to tell me what to do? I'm going to accept the vice presidency," which she did. And then she ended up becoming the Democratic nominee and losing the election. And now she's damaged goods. And now Willie thinks that it's highly unlikely that she's going to be the Democratic Party nominee in 2028. And he said that had she listened to him and not taken the vice presidency, she'd be in the catbird seat right now, or as he said, still in the mix.
So who is going to be the 2028 guy? Is it Pritzker? Newsom? Is it the Rear Admiral Buttigieg? Who is it?
I'm not sure at this point because that party right now is in complete disarray. You look at their polling numbers, and I don't recall a time where the Democrats as a party have polled so poorly as they are right now. And you look at these names that you just mentioned, whether it's Gavin Newsom, okay, right now we're in shambles here in California. Go ahead, try to run on that record. Good luck. Buttigieg, who cannot get any black support at all in the Democratic primary. Kamala Harris running again. Okay, she ran once before. She lost. She was not highly regarded by Democratic Party power brokers. So why would you run that horse again? Elizabeth Warren. Okay, she's 900 years old and I don't know, maybe she'll want to spend more time with her family in the teepee. Bernie Sanders is also a dinosaur. And then you have the new crop where it's AOC, who's been traveling around the country with Bernie Sanders, and she fancies herself as a candidate for president. And Jasmine Crockett, who is their new star on social media, or Jasmine Effin Crockett, I guess I should say, because every time she goes on, she sounds like a dirty club comic. I don't know if any of those people match up well with J.D. Vance, particularly if the Trump administration has a successful term. I don't see how you run one of those horses and you beat him. If things go to hell, then, any of them can win because you have two choices. But just looking at them on paper right now, I don't know. Maybe this is going to be something like 2008 or 1992, where someone who's basically unknown comes out of nowhere and wins. Maybe that's the possibility that could happen. But right now, I don't see any of their mentioned names looking particularly strong.
Well, I actually feel better, and I laughed. Thank you, John. Come back soon, brother. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.